Welcome to the Immigrant's Path, showcasing the successes, challenges, and the many paths to America. Brought to you by Sarraf Gentile LLP, a New York-based law firm representing individuals nationwide on immigration and other complex litigation matters.
Hi everyone, welcome to the latest episode of the Immigrant's Path. For this interview, I interviewed Erika Harado Graham. For those of you that are unfamiliar with her, she is one of the most popular immigration attorneys on social media. Her reach and following on social media is the size of a Hollywood celebrity. She is a great example and a great person to follow if you are looking to grow your own social media presence, or if you're just looking to see what can be accomplished with a large social media presence. Her efforts to educate the public on immigration rights has, I'm sure, had a profound effect on thousands of people. So she's just a great counterexample as to what can go right with social media. There's plenty of examples in the press now of what goes wrong, but she's just a wonderful counterexample for that. So I found her to be a really interesting guest, and I encourage you to listen. Thank you. Okay, welcome everybody. Today's guest is Erika Harado Graham. She is a prominent immigration lawyer based in Kansas City, Missouri, and she is one of the top 3 social media immigration personalities in the United States. She has hundreds of thousands of followers on Facebook. Her YouTube videos have gotten and get millions of views. So thank you for being here, Erika. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for inviting me.
Absolutely. Okay, so just a couple of questions for people that aren't familiar with you. What type of immigration services does your firm provide?
So we do family immigration. We also do humanitarian U visas and VAWA cases. Up until about 2 years ago, I was still handling removal cases. We are moving away from removal at this time. I actually just finalized the last 10 removal cases I had. So we're focused right now on family immigration and humanitarian for Spanish speakers. That's my primary client base, Spanish speakers.
So that's the target market then.
Yes.
Do you also work with employment immigration issues or generally not?
We do not. I have never actually handled employment or even asylum cases. So that's an area that we don't get into.
Why did you decide to become an immigration lawyer?
You know what? When I was going through law school, I did not even know that I was going to become one. I had worked for 8 years with an attorney who did personal injury and workers' comp, and I was convinced that I was going to become a workers' comp attorney. And when I graduated, I actually started taking just some general practice cases in workers' comp, which is what my focus was going to be. And then there was a reform in the state of Kansas as to the Workers' Comp Act, and many attorneys stopped practicing that area of law because it was not profitable anymore. So at that point, that happened probably 2 years into my practice, I started thinking, well, that's not going to happen anymore. I need to shift my focus. And I thought, well, I like criminal, I like family. Perhaps I'll just set up a general practice, a general law practice. And then a friend of mine had a small family immigration practice, and he was trying to be sponsored by an employer to get his legal permanent residency, and he got a job or an offer with a large law firm here in Kansas City, but he had to basically give up his private practice. And he said, if you take over my practice, I will become your mentor until you're fully versed into immigration, and that way I can go on and work for these people that are going to sponsor me for adjustment for legal permanent resident. I said, Okay, sure, why not? I was just 2 years into my practice, and he gave me, or he just told me that I was going to take over his practice. He had about 40 active cases, and that's how I started on immigration. But it was never my focus to do immigration. I did very well, actually. I really enjoyed immigration. My professor is a local, or was a local practitioner, and up until this day I still see her and I call her professor, and she says, don't call me professor. I said, well, you're my professor. But that's how I started on immigration. It was not intentional. It just happened to, I just happened to, I don't know, run into that area, and I liked it. I liked the feeling of helping people.
It's such a great example of how sometimes in life, in the time, something looks like a failure or a setback, like, with the changes in the law
Mhm.
and workers' comp, and how it just sets you on a different direction where I'm going to assume that, it's worked out very well for you, that did happen, that setback turned into a big boost for you. I had a similar experience in my own life earlier in my career with something that worked out that way. There was a kind of a disappointment in a job I didn't get, and it just put me in this direction that really set me up really well for later success. So it's funny how life works sometimes like that.
Yeah,
When
and go ahead.
No, please go ahead.
No, and that was my case. I was originally going to be working for a small law firm here in Kansas City, and something happened that I decided not to go on working for them very early on upon hiring. Upon I said, this is not something that I'm going to be able to do.
Mhm.
And I said, I'm going to have to find something immediately because my student loans are coming due in 6 months,
Right.
my first payment. And I said, I'm going to go on private practice. And that's how I got started. Like you said, things happen that you don't expect, that you see it years down the road and you think, wow, if that had not happened, I wouldn't be in this situation right now. And
Right.
you're grateful years down the road, but at that moment, you don't see it that way.
And once you started with immigration, you've had so much success in this area. I'm just curious if that is something that you were envisioning, that was the direction you were going to go, that you were going to get to where you are now, or is this something that was just kind of unexpected?
I don't think so. And even when people tell me, oh, you are so successful at this time, I just don't see it that way. I see it as I come to work on a daily basis and just do my job. That I don't see success in terms of how many clients I get on a daily basis, how many phone calls we get, or how many hirings we get on a monthly basis. This is just something I do. Maybe because I'm so involved and I'm so passionate about what I do, that I just don't see it the way most people see it. I guess, from my different perspective, yes, a successful practice, a practice that gets to choose what cases they want and how many cases they want to take on any given month. I just don't see it like that.
Hmm.
Maybe in retrospect, someday I will.
Well, we're
Um,
operating with a different definition of success then. So even if you look at success in a completely not about me, but about the people that I'm working with, right?
mhm,
The fact that you're able to work with so many clients, the fact that you're able to influence and educate so many people who are not your clients, never were your clients, and never will be your clients, you've
mhm.
impacted their lives probably for generations by correcting them or informing them about something that allowed them to stay in the US or solve some sort of problem that they were able to do on their own. So if that's not successful, I don't know what is.
No, no, when it comes to that, no, then I'm gonna take it
Yeah.
back, because I was thinking about my practice.
Mhm.
I wasn't talking about my status as an influencer in the
Right.
immigration world. When
Right.
I see myself as an influencer in the immigration world, then yes, I do see myself as very
Yeah.
successful, because I get people to listen to me, people who, like you said, will never be my client. But
Right.
if I can just educate them in something that may change their life, I I have success. I have been successful in my goal. So yes, when it comes to that part of what I do consider myself successful. I'm very, very happy about what I do.
And so on that front, on the social media front, the reach you have as somebody in this space is incredible. I mean, I got that from your website that you're one of the top 3 influencers in the immigration space. So my question is kind of, how did you get there? There's obviously there's a lot of people out there that are speaking to the audience that you speak to, and a lot of them are speaking to them in Spanish. I know you do most, if not all, of your marketing in Spanish, but they don't have the reach and they don't have the audience that you have. So it seems to me you've been able to develop a connection and a level of trust with this audience that you're working with that others haven't been able to do. So what do you attribute that to?
Well, I guess first of all is the time that I started. I started social media when social media was not a thing. I created my Facebook page just to promote myself because I knew that social media was coming and that was a place to be. And I started making videos at a time when no one was making videos. So the timing was good. Right. I'm not going to deny that. The timing was actually great. When you could still grow in Facebook. Now things have changed. Now, the connection that I have with my audience, I always think that has to do with the fact that I grew up with a grandmother who had no education, that I learned even while being or becoming educated myself to continue to communicate and talk to her in a way that she could understand me in simple terms, in straightforward terms. And if I think about my grandmother, that's most of the immigrants or the Spanish-speaking immigrants in this country. People that are uneducated for the most part, people that are honest, people that are hardworking, people that like to hear the truth, people that don't like to hear news that are sugar-coated. And I think that because of how much I was able to connect to my grandma in my early age as being raised by my grandmother, I can connect to the immigrant community in a way few people can. And that creates that level of trust that you talk about. I tell people, I am here in front of you, not because I want you to hire me. I'm here to educate you about what you can and cannot do, about your rights, about your options. The only thing I ask is that you listen and you make an informed decision. Stay away from notarios, stay away from llena papeles, paper fillers, go to an attorney. I never push people to come and see me. I push people to go and get competent representation. And I truly, I am truthful about that. I'm genuine about that. I want people to get good representation to avoid them getting denied by filing petitions that they're not eligible for. And people see that. They see that through the videos that I make. And that's how I have gained their trust, I guess. And that's what I have to say about that. I guess it's just the way I don't talk to them as if I'm an attorney. They don't see that barrier between them and me. They see me as them, as one more of them.
You haven't used the word, but I mean, just the one word that kept popping up in my head as you're discussing this is respect. That because you have some shared background and because you have, I'm assuming, family members that you love and had a relationship with, that you see in them, you're communicating with a level of respect to the audience that probably comes across as very genuine. People could feel that when it's real.
I think people find me relatable.
Mhm.
And every time I'm trying to explain something when it comes to immigration, a concept or an area of the law or a process in immigration, I always pull something out of my experience
Mhm.
so that they can understand better. I remember not long ago, I was explaining a naturalization process in which an elderly person can get a certification of disability if they are having mild Alzheimer's, memory issues because of age, early dementia. And I was just trying to explain to people because there are a lot of people right now that are eligible for naturalization that obtain their status through the amnesty, and they don't apply because they don't know English and they have never
Mhm.
learned English, and they're trying now, but they just can't even go past the first 5-10 questions in the naturalization test. And I was just explaining to them in a video, and I said, before I became an attorney, I helped my grandma with her naturalization process. And I started explaining everything that happened with my own grandmother and how she became upset when the officer asked her if she had ever been a prostitute or procured anyone for prostitution. My grandma wanted to leave the interview room. I said, that's why you have to have someone with the senior citizen,
Right.
because they're probably not going to understand the question. They don't know what's going on. And just the fact that I, added that little information about my own grandmother, they find that very relatable, and
Mhm.
they start laughing, and then they pay attention. And that's the goal, that for them to actually pay attention to what I'm saying. So
Do you get recognized in public frequently?
I do, by the Hispanic community. Yes. Here in Kansas City, for instance, in the whole state of Kansas, wherever I travel,
Yeah.
there's no place that I can go where there are Hispanics that people don't recognize me. And people think, oh, that must be so nice for you to be. I am actually a shy person in
Yeah.
private, quite shy. And I don't like to go to the meat market, the Mexican meat market, and be stared at. Is she or is she not?
Mhm.
Hi, I'm your friend on Facebook. Do you remember me? No. You and like a million other friends. And I find that I don't think I like that.
Yeah.
That's an area of what I do that I don't care for, because you lose all privacy whatsoever. I have been recognized in other states. In Nevada, I have been eating in Las Vegas, and people approach me and they recognize me. And there's still that part of me that thinks that I'm only speaking to a small number of people, where in reality, my reach is in the millions now.
Yeah.
I just think, well, I have 1.3, 1.4 million followers across all platforms. But yeah, but how many people are reached through the content that we create? It's millions more. So yeah, that's something that I don't get used to.
It's not
But
something.
it's part of it, I guess.
Yeah, it's just funny because it's not one of those things that most lawyers would think they'd have to learn how to deal with. I mean, especially if you're going into immigration and you're not going into, trial law or something where people are peacocks and just looking for cameras. So
Yeah.
it's funny.
And I
You've
share everything about my life with my followers too.
Mhm.
Everything. I even have a group for people who want to lose weight. When I was doing the keto diet, I created this group, and I have a lot of followers in that group too. And if I go, let's say that I go, I don't know, buy some tacos, people will approach me and say, are you not doing the keto diet anymore? Are the tacos permitted in the keto diet? So I don't go out anymore where there's Hispanics right now because of that. I'm just shy about it. I send a family member to go run errands for me just because of that.
I'm sure it's not funny for you, but it's funny for me. It's such a like a distant problem. Like I can't imagine having.
Yeah.
But you've developed, I mean, over the years, obviously you've developed a really high degree of expertise in marketing, right? Especially social media marketing. How did you go
Yes.
about how did you go about learning that? Were there any particular role models that you had that you followed, or any books or anything like that?
No, I do have, I don't know. I think I've liked marketing even before I went to law school here in the United States. I was a legal assistant for 8 years, and I helped my former boss with his marketing.
Mm-hmm.
I'm talking about late 90s. Marketing was radio, TV, and printed media.
Mm-hmm.
I was designing his ads. I was just trying to create ways to reach the Spanish speaking community through printed media and through radio. That was how I got started. He didn't like it. He just didn't know anything about marketing, and I didn't know either, but I had really good ideas.
Mm-hmm.
That's how I got started. When I opened my own practice, same thing. I applied the same principles: TV, radio, printed media, and then Facebook happened.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought, well, Facebook is trying to reach a lot of people. Maybe I should advertise in Facebook. So I created my own Facebook page in 2009, I think, and just to try to promote my services. And I started creating short videos, informational videos. As I was learning immigration law, with what my mentor was teaching me, and as I was finishing cases and learning a little bit, I would create a video about it, and people started liking and sharing it and recommending my page and tagging their friends. In the first year, I think I got 100,000 people,
Mm-hmm.
and then it just started growing.
Wow.
And now, have I done specialized courses after that? Sure. Since I know that I have these huge platforms, I try to follow people who know what they're doing, because I still think that I don't know what I'm doing, so that I can get better at marketing, social media marketing, and know what the trends are.
Mm-hmm.
And it doesn't stop. I mean, even now, I'm on a daily basis reviewing what's happening with Facebook. Is Facebook going to be here tomorrow? I should diversify what other platforms I should be creating content for. It's a daily thing. In like I have said before, it's a full-time job. It's a full-time job.
And if we were, speaking as an audience member, if we were trying to learn about social media marketing, is there anybody you'd suggest that we would follow or look at? Like, I don't know, just throwing out some names like Gary Vaynerchuk, anybody like that?
Okay, so you mean non-attorneys,
Yeah.
just social media experts? Yeah, for Facebook, for instance, there's this lady, Mary Smith. She's called the queen of Facebook. Mary as an M-I-R-I, not M-A-R-R-Y. Mary Smith. She is very into marketing through Facebook. Mm-hmm. And anything that's happening, any rumors about what's going on in Facebook and changes in the algorithm, she knows. Mm-hmm. There's another, when it comes to YouTube, for instance, I can't remember what's his name. I can't remember. I purchased this course of YouTube marketing. Shane, I can't remember. I'll tell you in a little bit. He has videos in YouTube, free videos, teaching you how to set up your equipment, how to start creating videos, what type of equipment to purchase, what type of microphone to purchase, what type of camera, lighting. Now, if you want to get more deep into how to market yourself, Sean Cannell is the name, Sean Cannell. If you want to get any deeper into how to work the algorithm in your favor in YouTube, then he has a paid course that you can purchase at about $1,000. And he tells you when to post, what to post, how many times to post, what to avoid in your video description, what to put in your video description, how to look and read the YouTube analytics or insights, how to start making money off of the platform. So it depends on the level of expertise you want. You can certainly follow his free content in his YouTube channel, or you can go and purchase the course that he has available. Sean Cannell is his name.
Is there any advice that you see out there or recommendations on, let's say, attorney marketing that you just kind of jump out at you as being bad advice, but you see it pretty commonly?
Yes, I think, I don't know, many times attorneys think that social media marketing is static, that what worked 2 years ago or what worked yesterday continues to work. It is not.
Mm-hmm.
Social media marketing is changing on a daily basis. Facebook is changing on a daily basis. Some people say, well, as far as marketing, just grow on one social media platform, and as long as you're big on that platform, you should be okay. I've seen it with certain attorneys. Some attorneys, even those who have bigger pages than mine, they contact me to see how they're doing, if there's anything that I would recommend for them. And my advice to people at this time is diversify.
Mm-hmm.
Diversify. Don't put all your eggs in one basket. We don't know what's going to happen to Facebook. We don't know what's going to happen to YouTube. We don't know if TikTok is going to continue. You have to diversify. You have to work on your own platform, which is your own website, and use all the platforms to feed into your own platform, because the only thing that you own out there is your website.
Mm-hmm.
Everything else is borrowed land. At the whatever time Facebook can decide to just shut down your channel, or YouTube shut down your page, your channel. TikTok can just say, oh, you know what, you have done too many violations. We're just gonna shut you down, and you don't even know what violations you had. I had a video last week. I was talking about humanitarian reinstatement,
Mm-hmm.
and TikTok took down the video for a violation of their community guidelines, and I sent an appeal, and they said, no, this is something that is offering prohibited goods. What am I offering? I'm not offering anything. So what I'm saying is that it's borrowed land.
All right.
The only thing that those platforms should be good for, apart from giving you momentaneous impulse, is to feed your own platforms, or your own platform, which is your website. That's where you need to be creating your audience. What I'm doing, and something that I learned since Facebook started messing with the algorithms, is that I need to use the momentum that I still have in Facebook to get all those people to a mail list.
Mm-hmm.
And feed them into the information that I like to give them through my website. Own your content. That's my advice. Own it. And
Mm-hmm.
the only way to own it is creating email lists and reaching them through your own website, through email marketing campaigns.
Mm-hmm.
That's the only thing that you own. Your website, your campaigns. All the other platforms, like I said, is just borrowed land.
And I'm going to ask you the inverse of the last question I asked. Are there any strategies that you've implemented successfully that go against conventional wisdom, that you feel work for you, but other people may say, well, that's not something necessarily lawyers should be doing, or it's not a good way to grow an audience, but it works for you?
Well, what can I say? The news aspect of it.
Mm-hmm.
The breaking news aspect of it. It's very, how can I put it? Controversial. I remember that when I started talking about the public charge ground of inadmissibility that Trump was working on,
Mm-hmm.
I got so much hate, not just from viewers, but from attorneys and from the head of the agencies that worked for the immigrants that provided those benefits, the public benefits. I remember getting a phone call, I believe, or an email from the director of the social services office in the state of Kansas, telling me that I should not be telling people about the public charge rule of inadmissibility, that I shouldn't be telling people that I shouldn't even be breaking the news until something was confirmed. And I was thinking, well, but it's coming. They're working on it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the consulates are already denying petitions because they feel empowered by the current administration, not warning people. It's doing them a disservice. So yes, I am an attorney and I provide them with the information about immigration law and policy, but I also need to break the news of what's coming. That's the only thing that I can think of that I got a lot of hate on from other attorneys. I remember an attorney telling me, you shouldn't be telling people that, you know, if they don't do this, they may get denied at their consular interview. And I said, well, that's what the rule states. What am I going to tell people? You just keep on living your life like you have been living before. And when we see the tsunami coming, no, I'm going to break the news and I'm going to tell them what I think about it. That's the only thing that I can think of. Telling people the good part of immigration policy, but also breaking the news on the bad part of immigration policy, and let them get prepared for it, so that they are not taken by surprise.
Yeah, I mean, it comes back to respecting your audience and making it more about them than it is about you.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's how that strikes me. So what are some of the biggest challenges you had to overcome in scaling your practice and your social media presence?
Scaling my practice and my social media presence, the changes in the algorithms and the different platforms. I think YouTube has remained pretty steady. Even though there's a lot of content out there in YouTube, that platform is very stable, very steady. What you saw about 5-10 years ago, it's pretty much what you can still expect from YouTube, but not with Facebook. And many attorneys think that Facebook is the one and only platform to be on. And it's such an unstable platform that I wouldn't recommend anyone starting from zero. I wouldn't recommend even looking at Facebook anymore.
Wow. Where would you recommend they look?
Well, I would say create a good website, very good website, get someone who knows what they're doing, optimize the website for traffic, create content for the website, and then start opening your presence or creating your presence in YouTube, TikTok at this time, Facebook just for having a presence, Instagram just for having a presence. I wouldn't put that much effort into growing in Facebook or Instagram anymore. I would probably just be in YouTube, TikTok, and have your own website, create content yourself, and use that platforms to feed the viewers to your own platform, your own website.
So I got a question about the interplay between the social media and the practice. So on the social media side, I mean, obviously people who like you and watch you on social media are going to call on the practice side. They're going to want to hire you. I assume there's a lot of them. You create, you know, in a good way, you create these very high expectations, I'm sure, of people calling in to hire you, because some of them have probably been watching you for years. So they really trust you. I'm sure they have high expectations. And so then when they come over to the practice side, and obviously you can't handle every aspect of their case personally yourself, you're going to have other people that work for you and with you that are going to be touching the case as well. What do you do to ensure, or what can you do to ensure that as you kind of scale in that way, that the client experience matches those high expectations?
By remaining small, by not taking every case that comes through the door, by really screening the type of cases and the clients that I take. And that starts from the consultation phase. I thought about this same issue a few years ago. I was charging $100 an hour for the consultation fee, which is what most attorneys were charging.
Mm.
It's a low enough fee that most people can afford it. Well, people were using me because of my social media personality status as a rubber stamp of what other attorneys were doing, and did not have the intention necessarily to hire me.
Mm.
And I had to do something to make sure that people who were going to pay for my consultation fee were serious about it, were not just looking for a rubber stamp.
Mm.
And I raised my consultation fee, and that weeded out of a lot of people who were just looking for a second opinion but had no intention of hiring.
Mm.
Also, I started limiting the area, my areas of practice, and just the type of cases that I take, so that I only take a limited number of cases every month, in an effort to remain small, a boutique law firm. I had the option of growing to exponentially. I had the option of just started taking everything that people were calling for, and I thought, you know what, I do that, and I don't know, I don't think I'm gonna be able to serve those clients that the way I think they should be served.
Mm.
And the best way to do it is to remain true to the things I like and the things that I enjoy doing, and remaining small.
Mm.
And that's what I have done.
Yeah.
I screen the cases very well, and I don't take more than a limited number of cases a month. We refer a lot of cases out.
Mm-hmm. That makes a lot of sense. So, what goals are you working on today? You've accomplished so much in your career. I'm just kind of curious, what is it that you still feel is yet to be accomplished by you that you're working towards?
Right now, in my practice, I think I would say trying to make it more attractive for my employees, more
Mhm.
attractive to remain with me for the long term.
Mhm.
It seems like for a few years I was just surviving. That's how it felt. A lot of turnover. I didn't think I could afford good benefits, good salaries, and I'm trying to change all that to become a really good place to work at.
Mhm.
Make it really attractive for the people that we hire or the people that work for us to be with us and to stay with us.
Mhm.
That's what we're working on right now, trying to get everything together to be, a really, really good place of employment.
Mhm.
That's what we're working on at this very moment. And when it comes to social media, getting all the people, all my audience into my website, gathering email lists, information, phone numbers, cell phone numbers, to create my own marketing campaigns from my website.
Mhm.
Text, SMS campaigns, email marketing campaigns, and creating content specifically hosted in my website, so that people can see my own website as the platform to go to in the future, and not depend so much on the social media platforms that
Mhm.
I use right now.
And just thinking long term, like very long term, have you given any thought to how you'd like your legacy to be when you retire, when you eventually stop doing this? What would you like people to say about you? What would you like to kind of leave behind when you're done with your career?
I don't think I have thought about that.
Mhm.
I don't think I have. That's just not something that I think about. I figure that if it's not me, it's gonna be someone else. There's some younger attorneys that are coming behind me, doing the same thing. So I just don't think much about it,
Mm.
really.
Okay. You're really because you started so early on social media, you're really one of those trailblazers in that area. So there will be a legacy with that. People are going to look back at this generation, I think, of people in the law and in other areas. And
The pioneers of digital
yeah,
marketing.
you're kind of setting a tone for what's going to come after in a lot of ways. So, but is there anything we haven't discussed you'd like to discuss? Anything I haven't asked?
Something that I would probably tell people is that this is a lot of work. And I have learned pretty much everything myself except code. That's the one thing I don't do. I don't do code. I have people that do that for me. I wouldn't tell attorneys that are trying to get started on digital marketing to do it themselves. It takes a lot of time. It takes a lot of time, a lot of headaches. There's people out there with the expertise. You don't have to reinvent the wheel as I did, 11 years ago. There's people out there that know what they're doing. Just get someone knowledgeable.
Yeah.
Even as we speak, even as involved as I am with my marketing and my content creation, I have social media strategists working for me. I have people who respond to the comments or who like the comments and all the platforms that I have, because obviously I don't have time to go and respond thousands of comments on a daily basis. I have people who are managing my website, creating email marketing campaigns, SMS marketing campaigns. There's people out there that have the knowledge to do it. You don't have to do it all yourself. Just put yourself in good hands, and then you just use your knowledge about immigration law to just give that information to the people and let anyone else, someone else that has the knowledge of marketing and social media to help you out. Don't try to do it all yourself.
I just got one follow-up question with that, because this is something I've been thinking about myself in my own practice. So how would you recommend somebody going about vetting these various vendors to try to figure out who's actually knowledgeable and who's not?
I guess I would say, do you know about website optimization? Number one, do you know about social media? How much do you know about social media? What do you know about the changes in algorithm? What do you think about having social media platforms, and also my website, and how do you combine all of them to be able to serve my long-term goals? That's what I would ask. There's another attorney that I talk to a lot. His name is Jared Jaska. He created a bot, and we talk a lot because I created a bot myself on my end through a program called ManyChat, and I created flows of conversation of pretty much every question that a person can have as to an immigration question, and he recommended someone that is helping him with social media strategies and in his marketing campaigns. And when I interviewed him, when I talked to him, he was speaking in my same language. But that's because I have been doing it for 10, 11 years. I know exactly what I was looking for in a person. What I can tell someone is just ask them about how versed are they with social media, and how knowledgeable are they in helping attorneys? Because it's one thing to help, I don't know, a dealership try to position their vehicles, and another thing to know how to reach your target audience, the attorney's target audience. That's what I would say. Just ask them about how much they know about working in social media for attorneys, and what do they think about combining not just the social media platforms, but the information contained in your website to make it work for you. That's what I would recommend.
All right.
And I have someone I can give you, if anyone's interested in private, I can certainly give you guys the name of the person who helps me. he's great.
Yeah, that would be great.
Mhm.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you, Erica. This was very informative and it was a lot of fun. So I really appreciate you taking the time to come on. I think this is really helpful for a
Thank
lot of
you.
people. So
All
thank
right.
you very much.